Everybody, this is Bob Burg. Welcome to On the Road to Success. He's been doing this for the last 30 years, has helped many companies, Fortune 500 companies, leaders, and teams develop their skills. And in their training, he's a keynote speaker, has spoken in front of thousands, if not probably millions. Co-author of The Go-Giver, has sold almost 1 million copies. I believe it's about 850,000 copies. And you are a lover of animals, which is probably one of my favorite things.
Thank you, Carlos.
What's your favorite animal?
I love all animals.
Okay.
I grew up with dogs, so I'm kind of partial to dogs, and I think I relate to them in terms of their loyalty and the way they just unconditional love. But yeah, I have a cat, a shelter cat, and I love all animals, farm animals, all animals. So they're, to me, they are angels clothed in fur.
I think what people really want to know is, kind of your story, your upbringing. If you want to hit on this for the next 3 minutes and a half, just what made you start? How did you get into this? And if you can just share a little bit of that, I would appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I started out as a broadcaster, actually in radio, doing sports and then television news. I worked as the late night news guy for a very small ABC affiliate in the Midwestern United States. Wasn't particularly good at it, and it wasn't long before I like to say graduated into sales. The only challenge, Carlos, was that I knew nothing about sales. I didn't have any training, and the company where I was working, we'll just say their training was negligible. And when I say negligible, I mean non-existent. So I was kind of on my own, and I really stumbled and floundered for a few months. And then, fortunately, while I was in a bookstore one day, I looked in the business section and found books on sales. And I really didn't even know such a thing existed, that there was a methodology to sales. I just didn't know. But I saw books by Tom Hopkins and Zig Ziglar, and you're kind of young. In my day, those were the two icons, of selling. And I got their books, and I just really studied them and learned from them. And really, in a short period of time, my sales began to really go very, very well. The nicest thing probably about being in sales was discovering that the how-to was just one aspect of it. It was really the building yourself from the inside. So I became a junkie for all the personal development books, the Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends, exactly, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and Think and Grow Rich, and As a Man Thinketh, and The Magic of Thinking Big, and Psycho-Cybernetics, and you name it. I was buying it and just taking it right in, because really success in any endeavor is first building yourself on the inside, and then certainly applying the information, and then having that success manifest itself outwardly. So that was, I enjoyed that a lot, and I enjoyed sales, and eventually worked my way up to sales manager of a company, and then began actually selling. And again, this is a long time ago, selling cassette tapes for another speaker who I met when I went to his seminar, and I bought his tapes. And at the end it said, if you want to make some extra money selling our tapes, let us know. So I did, and started. Then I went into my own thing and, began a speaking business. And I've been doing that now for 30 years or so.
That's, your talks are amazing. What your work is amazing. I saw your interview with Marie, and that was an amazing interview.
Well, she's wonderful. She's certainly, what a great leader she is, and she makes it very easy to do a good interview.
Yeah, she definitely does. In your book, The Art of Persuasion, since you said you got into sales, you do mention that us as humans, we are all sellers, right? We sold ourselves. We're all sellers. Yeah. We sold ourselves to our wives. We sell ourselves at work. So if you can kind of clarify this just a little bit because I think we get caught up in, I don't want to get into sales. I don't know how to sell. If you could just hit on this, because I used to think like this as well, but I quickly learned that it wasn't like that.
Yeah, and it's a very important point you bring up, Carlos, because I think when you hear people say, I could never sell, I wouldn't want to be in sales, it's not that they don't, or I don't like sales, right? It's not that they don't like sales. It's they don't like what they think selling is, right? because you grow up and you hear about, you know, the stereotypical sales guy, the fast walking, slick talking, you know, here's my card, blah, 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 you know, right?
Right.
And of course, that's not selling. You know, many people, there are a lot of misperceptions about selling, right? Many people think selling is about trying to convince someone to buy something they don't want or need. And that's not selling. That's called being a con artist, right? They think selling is about taking advantage of others. It's absolutely not. It's about providing people more advantage through your product or service, assuming it's right for them. Mainly, they think selling is about taking, when in actuality, selling is about giving. And it's funny because literally the old English root of the word sell, selan, meant to give. So when you're selling, you're giving. And people say, well, isn't that just semantics? And I don't think so, because if you're in front of someone and you're in the selling process, what exactly are you giving that person? I suggest you're giving them time, attention, counsel, education, empathy, and most of all, value. So let me quickly define for you what I believe selling is.
Yes.
Okay? Selling is simply discovering what the other person wants, needs, or desires, and helping them to get it.
Wow.
That's selling.
It kind of sounds like you're talking about leadership as well.
Sure.
Leadership is one of the things that I've become very passionate about and almost taken personal, because I've worked in many companies where they treat you like a number. Listen, God forbid you make a mistake and you're out the door, or they'll write you up. Many companies lack empathy and perspective, and I love Simon Sinek's work. He always talks about that.
Wonderful. Yeah.
So leadership, he defines leadership, and please take it away. You definitely know more about this, and that's why I'm doing this interview, because I want to learn more.
Sure.
Yeah, a leader is someone that gives, that takes care of
Okay,
the
so, okay, sure. Well, so when you think about it, what is a leader really doing? A leader is influencing others. Okay, without influence, you have no leadership. And influence is something you earn. So let's, you know, John Maxwell, the great leadership speaker, who once said that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And while maybe there's actually more toward, you know, there's different aspects of leadership, so there might be literally more to it. I think he's right on the mark where he says, if you cannot influence, you're not leading. Okay, so what is influence? And let's define that. Influence and this is on a very basic level. We'll go deeper in a moment. But on a basic level, influence is simply the ability to move a person or persons to a desired action, usually within the context of a specific goal. Okay, that's by definition influence. Now, it's the definition, but it's not the substance. It's not the essence of influence. The essence of influence is pull. Pull as opposed to push. As in the saying, how far can you push a rope? And the answer is not very far, at least not very fast or very effectively, which is why great influencers don't push, right? You never hear people say, wow, that Dave or that Mary, she is so influential. She has a lot of push with people, right? No, she's influential. She has a lot of pull with people. Great influencers, great leaders pull. It's influence is an attraction. It's an attractiveness. In other words, great leaders, great influencers attract people to themselves and to their ideas. Now, let's take this back to what Simon said about leadership being giving, right? So how does one attract? How does one pull? How does one influence through pull? Well, they shift their focus. They move from an I focus or me focus to ask themselves, how can I give value to those I lead? So they ask themselves questions such as, how does what I'm asking this other person to do, how does it align with their goals, with their wants, with their needs, with their desires? How does what I am asking another human being to do, how does it align with their values? What problems for them am I helping them to solve? How am I making their lives better, right? And when asking ourselves these questions thoughtfully intelligently, uh, genuinely, authentically, not as a way to manipulate the other person into
Right.
doing our will, but as a way of building everyone in the process. Now we've come a lot closer to earning that person's commitment, as opposed to trying to depend on some type of compliance, which at best is unsustainable. At worst is just such a turnoff that you'll have everyone, staying as far away from you as possible. I love what one of my great friends, Dondi Scumaci, and a real mentor of mine, and a great speaker and author on leadership, and what she says about this. Dondi says, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to influence, she says, compliance will never take you where commitment can go. And you only attain people's commitment, you only earn their commitment by focusing on giving value to them.
That's so true. And I know I've been in companies where leaders have titles or positions or the plaque on their desk, and I'll do what they say just because they have that
Yeah, you
position.
have to. Yeah.
But the company I work in now is called Arlo NoMad. It's a hotel. It's a great company, and I have leaders there that actually have influence that I want to go and do it before they even ask.
Right.
Even though great things they do, I will say this is that they ask you, hey, when you have time, do you think you can do this? Hey, when you get a second. And I love that because
absolutely. And you'll go out of your way for them. See, when you had to do it through compliance for the other people, yeah, you do what you had to do. You may not have done any more than you had to, or you may have because that's just who you are. But most people, when it comes to compliance, they'll do no more than what they have to. And they'll even sometimes sabotage the process,
right.
consciously or unconsciously. When you have the type of, and that's due to positional leadership. But what you're talking about with these really good leaders you have, that's moral leadership. They have earned your commitment through who they are. And because of who they are, it's what they do.
So one thing I've seen as well is companies, they have their mission statement, they have their goals, and then they have their workers. But obviously the owner or the founder or the CEO isn't going to hire somebody that has the same ambition level for the company that they do, right? It's just obvious, right? So how can a company get more familiar with their workers? Because sometimes I'm like, man, only if you got to know me, only if you got to know my background, what are my dreams and goals, maybe what makes me tick. Have you taught anything about this in your career in the last 30 years about how getting to know their employees?
Oh, well, the leaders who do that have people who, again, are committed to them, who because remember, all, and you've probably heard or read in any of my books where, we say all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to, and we can say, and will allow themselves to be led or influenced by those people they know, like, and trust. Well, the leader who gets to know his or her team members, and you could say followers, and that's fine, but team members, that's a person who they communicate that they care. And remember in Simon's book, and that was called Leaders Eat Last, he talked about trust being a biological reaction to the belief that someone has our best interests at heart. Well, a leader who gets to know you and wants to know about your family and wants to know about your hobbies, wants to know about your ambitions, wants to know about your goals, wants to discover what drives you. Not only is it a nice way to be a leader, a good way, but it's the most profitable way to be a leader. And you're going to have people around you who want to grow with you.
If you allow me to give you a little bit of context of where I'm at right now, and then I'm seeking your counsel. Okay. Whatever you tell me, I would love to apply it in my journey. So here we go. I am a full-time worker. I'm a father of a 4-month-old baby that I had to put to sleep. I take care of him today because my wife is working. Like, come on, Bob Burg is coming. Go to sleep. So he fell asleep. So yeah, full-time worker, husband, father. Thank you. I am a speaker now. I just gave a TEDx talk on intuitive success. I have an interview show that has interviewed some great people like Greg S. Reed, the author of 3 Feet from Gold.
Great book.
Evan Carmichael,
Oh,
huge on
Evan's
YouTube.
fantastic. Hmm.
Patrick Bet-David, founder of Valuetainment. David Meltzer, CEO of Sports One Marketing. I mean, the list can go on and on. But there's been some great people, and now with you as well, Bob Burg.
Right.
I have that interview show. I'm in the middle of another application for another speaking gig. It's called Speakers Who Dare. So all
Mhm.
of this, I'm doing it on top of a job, on top of marriage and a father, which to
Mhm.
me is a big deal because so many people fold at having a full-time job. And I've done crazy things like take a 13-hour bus to go meet Evan Carmichael, take that same bus back to New York City from Toronto to go to work the next morning.
But you know what, though? I'll tell you if I
Yeah,
can, and I don't mean to interrupt
sure.
you. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've seen a lot of people and so forth. And I'll tell you, those people who do those 13-hour bus rides, and I'm not saying you need to do that all the time, but the
Right,
people like you who are willing to do those things, those are the people who are on stage about 5 or 10 years from now in front of 30,000 people, making a lot of money, and they're sharing with other people about the time they drove 13 hours to meet with Evan Carmichael and then
right.
rode back. So you're the type of person who you are on your way. And I've seen you on social media. I've gotten to know you on social media, followed you there. You're doing a fantastic job. So you're
Thank
doing all the right things.
Thank you. So, as somebody that's like that, if just, I know we just started this relationship from afar. Is there anything that you will counsel me on that I should do, that I should maybe try? Is there anything that you probably did in your early years that you think I could be doing? I've been doing this for 3 years.
Hmm. Well, the first thing I would ask is, what is it that you truly want to do? What is your next step? I mean,
Okay.
so do you see yourself as, I take it you see yourself as being a speaker and an author and a show host and doing these things. So what's your next step? What would you like to see happen? Would you like to see yourself get more, let's say, paid speaking engagements as the
Yeah.
next step as you continue to build, eventually replacing your salary now with the speaking, which will allow you to
Right.
continue to.
So before I say that, let me just say this: I have a lot of patience, and money is the. I'm not really worried about the money just yet, but I do want to replace my income
Mhm,
from my full-time job so I can do this more, right?
mhm.
But I guess the meat of it is I would love to have a great interview show, build an incredible interview show like Tom Bellew or Ed Milet, like a big interview show like that. I feel like I have great people with the hustle, the rejections, the emails. I mean, I don't care what I have to do, but I've done it. So I would love to build that. I know I don't have the numbers are not there, but I know the quality is there, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
Um, and yes, I would like to, in the future, be a paid speaker and become a best-selling author. Basically, the book is written. Just put all the interviews, my story, into that book. So that's where I'm at, and that's what I want.
Yeah. So there's a couple things. One, as far as speaking, I can recommend a couple good books and actually a interview I did with a woman named Jane Atkinson, who is
Thank you.
magnificent teacher on speaking. And I interviewed her for about an hour and a half, and she shared so much of her wisdom. She has a great book on it. There's women like Lois Kramer who have written books on speaking, great marketing books, and people like David Newman who teach the art of speaker marketing. So these are all great, wonderful resources you can utilize. Then there are people who have taken podcasting and really been able to monetize it. Okay, and I'm talking younger than you are even.
Yeah.
Certainly much younger than I am. And so those are people whose names I can give you, and you can invest in their programs if you'd like, or look into that more. Because the first thing I always say, if you want to accomplish something, find out who's done it
Right.
already. Okay, don't try and reinvent the wheel. It's not necessary, and it makes it a lot harder and takes a lot longer.
Right.
So first, seek out and find the system, right? What is a system? A system is basically the process of predictably achieving a goal based on a logical and specific set of how-to principles. So if it's been proven that by doing A, you'll get the desired result of B, then you know that you just need to do A and keep doing A and keep doing A, you'll get the desired result of B.
Right.
Fortunately, there's a lot of that out there. Second is apply the information. You got to get started. And then third is be persistent. And I can tell you're the type of person who will do all of that. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You're totally on the right track. Now it's maybe just getting the specific information you need in terms of the how to get from point A to point B.
Got it. Thank you. I appreciate that. So last question, and we'll end it with this because I hear the baby crying, and I know we're only 30 minutes. So,
That's okay.
are you keeping up with baseball right now?
You know, my Marlins had a really, we'll call it a growing year.
And then Yelich, he was injured.
Yeah, and you know, they're kind of they're still a couple of years away from really being a team who's going to make the postseason. And I got to tell you, this season afterwards, with all the energy I invested in watching the Marlins this year, I'm not really watching the playoffs. For some reason, it just doesn't have my interest this year as it usually does. But I've heard it's been outstanding, and there's been some amazing come from behind victories and so forth already.
Yeah, definitely. The Yankees swept. That's my team, so hopefully they win. But just wanted to ask that fun question and wrap it up with that. Thank you so much for your time, Bob.
Oh, thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure getting to know you, Carlos, and I just see great things happening.
Thank you, Bob. Are you going to be in New York anytime soon?
I don't have anything scheduled up there right now, but when I do, I look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, I'll be there. Thank you, Bob. Take care.
Bye-bye.